request the fellows, if anybody is interested, like please, you can flag your hand and then you can start your presentation.
Yes, sir. The first presentation we have of is Subhashri ji.
Yes, yes. Let me share my screen. How to share?
Please accept the request to join as a panelist. That will give you access to the share button. This is for everyone. We're sending out the request. Please accept us to join as a panelist.
Is it visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. As I have already discussed with sir, so
PPT is not open yet.
it's not open yet. Now it is.
Not yet.
Let me do it again. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is my title, that is statewide disparities in financial inclusion under PMZY. So for this, I have started my reading from the Rangarajan Committee Report 2008, because the concept and the process the committee report has described.
Just sorry to
regarding
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt you. Could you please make it full screen?
Make it
Full screen.
full screen. Okay.
Yes.
Slideshow mode.
Slideshow. Anyway, please carry on. Carry on.
Is it okay? I have made it.
No, for us, you're still on the working mode.
Yeah, please carry on. Carry on. No issue.
So I have started my journey from the financial inclusion definition from the Rangarajan Committee, because I have gone through the World Bank report and the other reports of the who has defined the financial inclusion. But Rangarajan Committee has defined financial inclusion in a manner where we need to they have clearly defined about the product and service, particularly to include the persons who are excluded from the formal or semi-formal financial system. And they also consider the dimensions like accessibility, affordability, and usability of those products. So this is my starting point. So they have the interesting point is that when we are talking about the financial inclusion, the committee already has defined and they have some conclusion, and they have given some recommendations on that. Number one is that is the National Rural Financial Inclusion Plan. Then they have recommendation for the NABARD for the promotion and development, because when I have started the literature review, I have not included over here. There are few literature they have pointed out that the promotion, because the number of account they have increased during 2015-16, they have pointed out the growth of the account, but whether they are active or not, when they are going to in detail of that, they find that the promotion and development is lacking behind. So that's why, but the commission report, that is Nangarajan committee report, that they have pointed out that they have defined a specific fund under NABARD discretion, that is Financial Inclusion Promotion Development Fund and also the Financial Inclusion Technology Fund. They also emphasize that is the SHA bank linkage that which I have planned before, that is whether they are complementary in nature or they are substitutes in nature. But as per the committee report, that SHA linkage, joint liability, as well as the microfinance initiative, they will work as a complementary uh, channel for the service provider, provision of the service to
Shri,
the
I'm sorry
people,
to
those who are
disturb, but
exclusive.
slides are not moving. Can you please
I'm
stop sharing and share again?
okay. I'm sharing again. Stop
Now,
sharing.
yeah, yeah.
Is it visible?
No, no, not yet.
Let me take. Is
Yes,
it visible?
yes, yes, it's visible. It's
Okay.
showing slide number 5.
Uh,
Now 4.
another thing, just again, sorry to interrupt you. So may I request you to finish your presentation with 10 minutes because we have 7 presentations today.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, please.
So this is a one point. I'm not going to the detail. That is, these are the major recommendations. That is the technology, financial literacy, and the provision of the fund for the what? Fund for the focus in the literacy awareness, then integral of the financial inclusion in the campaign. These are the major recommendations, and they have suggested view products exclusively for the financial inclusion. So these are the small. What are the products should be provided by the provider, service provider, for the financial inclusion. But when we are talking about that, from this, I have done I am working on the literature review. From that, because as I don't have so much of time and the fund for the primary survey, so I am planning to do on that. That is, what is the variation of the PMJY uh, uh, account, the preempted by performance across different states. So when I am talking about the states disparity, whether there is any disparity or not, that is my first question. Number two is that when I'm working on that, because as the committee has described, that is usage accessibility, these are the and the availability of the services to the people is the key feature of the financial inclusion. From that is from the supply side, because demand side is required more and more primary data analysis, but for the supply side, all the data are available with the RBI, and I am working on that. I'm just working on the literature review and extracting data from the those secondary sources, and from that I want to make conclusion over there, whether there is any disparity. If yes, that is my first hypothesis that I would like to test. That is, first I want to do a composite index of the financial inclusion over the Indian states, number one. Whether that index will consider all the dimensions that has defined by the Rangarajan committee. For this, I try to make it by through the factor analysis, and then I will go for the whether the index or there is any disparities over the states or not. If yes, definitely there will be disparities. What are the major reasons? And if the data available with that secondary data availability, on the basis of that, literacy, per capita income, digital infrastructure, gender empowerment, if all these data are available, if or I think as much as I have gone through, that is literacy, per capita income, digital infrastructure, digitalization level, then service industrialization level, that state domestic product, all these data are already available. So on the basis of that, I would like to understand what are the supply side problem uh, for that disparity and how we can improve that gap among the different states. And doing that, we can make it. I can make it that on the basis of the geographical location, like eastern region, western, and southern. Like this, I can do another comparison between the region also. That is my update. These are the mostly that I like to take the data from these secondary sources, and my research is entirely based on the secondary data, not in primary data.
No, as of now, thank you, Shubhasri, for your presentation. So as of now, your research objectives are already well specified. Okay. So I think we have already discussed some
Yes,
of the issues which are related to your research objectives. So
yes,
I think you should go ahead with this research and then you come with us some kind of findings. Then we will be able to again discuss on your findings, like whether we need to work on it or if any modifications are needed. But as of now, it is well specified, and you can do uh, justice to the research objectives based on the secondary data. So that's not a problem.
yes, yes.
And most
Because
interesting part, as you rightly mentioned, like since you have specifically listed down the some of the supply side factors which are so crucial, and since you have information all those supply side factors from the secondary data, so even you can look for those variations in the supply side
yes,
factors as well. Like if you find that okay, some of the regions they are having high financial inclusion, how far
yes,
the supply side factors are playing important role, to what extent in deepening that financial inclusion. So in that way, you can also just make your presentation, make your approach a little bit more interesting.
yes, yes. That's my objective, because I have when I'm doing the literature review, because there are lots of literature, they have considered different specific demand side problem and supply side problem. But during this time period, and I don't have any option for the primary data, so
Yes,
that's why I opted for this, as you have guided me. And this is my specific research question and specific. The way
absolutely.
I want to do my
Yeah,
research.
absolutely, absolutely fine. It is. You please go ahead, and once you like prepare some of the findings, like finish some of the findings, so please share with us, and then
Yes,
I'll be
yes,
able to comment on your findings. Okay. Thank you
yes,
very
yes.
much. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Should I send the PPT to you?
No, not as of now,
Not.
because
Okay.
once you are maybe if you are if you can find out, like once you prepare some of the tables or some of the statistical analysis, that you can share
Then
with me to discuss over those findings.
okay, okay, okay,
Okay. Thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Subhashri ji. Next, we have Nitish Anand ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Subhashri
afternoon.
ji, you can
Good
stop
afternoon.
sharing.
So I'm sharing my screen.
Sorry. I'm
No. So as per the last discussion that we had, I have concised my research question along with the objective, because this is the primary study based on the data that I'm going to collect. I have already formulated some survey questionnaire that I will also send it to you for the verification if needed, sir. There will be some inclusion and exclusion as per your direction. So my topic is the understanding the financial literacy of maids producing travel women and its implication on entrepreneurship development in Kalahandi district. So this research explored the financial literacy of tribal women in Kalahandi district and its impact on the entrepreneurship development in millets cultivation. Actually, the research question and the objective that I have chosen so far, that what is the current financial literacy level among the indigenous women millets cultivator, especially in the Kalahandi district. And I will be choosing the 2-3 blocks that I have identified, and I will collect the sample size from there itself. And how do financial literacy interplay and entrepreneur advancement? So these are the 2 research questions, and my research objective is on the access of financial literacy level among the indigenous women millets farmer, and investigate and get the relationship between the financial literacy and entrepreneur outcomes. So the methodological framework that I will do, the data that I will get through the primary survey. So I will analyze that data, and I will develop the instrumental design that I did already. So I will send it to you. The survey structure that the survey structure that I have followed so far, that I have given some questions related to the demographic information. Second is the millets cultivation and economic activity that is been done by the millets producing tribal farmer in Kalahandi districts. And third one is the financial literacy assessment, where I'm going to discuss about, and I'm going to know about the basic financial concepts according to the tribes, and the calculation skills, attitude, and the behavior. And the fourth thing that I have added in the questionnaire is that entrepreneurship and the value addition, that where I am going to look after the business activities, market access, and the financial service utilization. So the literacy dimension, financial literacy dimension, I'm going to understand the calculation skill, the access, that engagement with the formal banking, credit, and digital financial services, the knowledge, understanding of the financial term, product, and economic concept, behavior, that is saving habit, spending pattern making. Entrepreneur connections, I'm going to analyze the resource management, business growth, and the market participation, how these farmers are taking the these kind of the decision as in correlation with the financial literacy that they are having. So the barrier that I'm going to identify through the because these are the barrier that I got through literature review also, that is the educational limitation, cultural factors, institutional behavior, and digital divide. So I'm going to get all these data through my survey questionnaire, and will try to get some kind of the triangulation, where I will be able to verify that whether these things which has been stated, and I have put all these things in my questionnaire, whether it is right or wrong, or how it is interplaying in that way. So these are the basic presentations that and the progress that I have made so far since the last discussion that we had with Professor Sir. So this is my presentation.
Thank you, Nitish. Again, just I have some couple of observation and clarifications I need from you. The first thing is, Kalahandi is a backward district, I guess.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
And you are going to choose 2-3 blocks from Kalahandi district. That's what you have said.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in that case, when you are trying to select 2-3 blocks, so that selection of blocks should be able to capture the if there is an heterogeneity in the Kalahandi blocks in terms of district, in terms of economic and socio-economic development. That you need to take care of. Okay, because for example, you can think of within Kalahandi districts, the blocks which are underdeveloped, and the blocks which are a little bit more developed. Okay, so otherwise, if you select the blocks which are more or less similar in terms of socio-economic parameters, then it will be difficult for you to get some insightful comparison, because at the end of the day, your basic purpose is to see how your financial inclusion of these millet producers are going to have some impact on their entrepreneurship. That is basically a research question, which I understood. Okay, so if that is the case, the selection of block, my suggestion should be done in a way so that they can capture both the least developed part and comparatively better developed part of the Kalahandi district. Okay, so you can of course choose your the blocks in terms of standard socioeconomic indicators that we generally take help of for while choosing this kind of blocks. For example, you can go to census data, and then you can you just go for some of the standard indicators like percentage of literacy rate. Now, since you are concentrating on the female millet producers, so you can consider the female literacy rate and the percentage of marginal workers. So these are basically some of the standard indicators which we consider in order to identify the blocks as least developed and the blocks as better developed. Okay, so that is one of my thing. Another thing is that in your questionnaire, you mentioned that you are going to collect information on millet production. Okay, so
Yes,
millet
sir.
production. So when you are actually considering this entrepreneurial activity, so are you considering the entrepreneurial activities which are directly or indirectly related to millet production, or which are independent of the millet production?
No, sir, directly or indirectly related to the millet production, sir.
Okay. So that's why I just bit confused, like whether what is the justification of collecting millet production data? Okay, so now
Yes.
okay, then it is okay.
And sir,
Hmm.
yes,
Yes,
sir,
please.
I wish to say one thing that I have decided to take the block where I'm going to collect the data. So through the integrated travel development plan, the government has released, and they have given that which block is producing the millets and which block is more remote and less developed in terms of the entrepreneurial development. And another block is that where there is the scope of improvement, and another block is where it is going in very fast and rapid manner. So I have selected 2 blocks based on that integrated.
Then it is okay. Yeah, perfectly. Then it is perfect, because I was not aware of the tribal development plan that you are talking about. Then it is perfectly okay. It's absolutely fine. Absolutely okay. Okay. And second is you were talking about the when you are trying to capture that concept of financial literacy, you mentioned that you are going to take into account the knowledge about financial terms. Okay, so what kind of financial term exactly you plan to look at, or you plan to capture through your survey?
Sir, yes, sir. The 2 things that I have decided. One is that based on the financial literacy, which is developed through the primer of NCERT, where through the national education policy, government has given the basic life skill and the financial literacy. So the component that came under that policy terms, and also the primer that is developed by the NCERT, that is to train about the financial literacy to the remote and tribal areas. So I have selected some components, exactly the same components through that questionnaire. I have standardized it, and I will send it to you, sir, because the last day when I talked to you, so you told me that please send me the question. So I will send that question. So if you will be able to see and reflect, then that will be nice for me.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now, so no issue. Please send me. I'll have a look at it, and then I'll share my feedback on that. Thank you so much, Nitish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your presentation. Next, we have Hung Ming, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Yeah, it's Hong Ming. I'll share my screen. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My topic is assessing the impact of AI and data center expansion on India's statewide energy demand and carbon emission. So the background is that India's AI-driven electricity demand is projected to increase significantly, potentially reaching 1,500 terawatt hours by 2030. And these 2 are the papers that I'm currently reading. So first one is the growing energy footprint of artificial intelligence. And the second one is a report published by IMF that looks at the how AI will drive energy demand. So I wanted to frame my research question in like a state-wise comparison in India. So which Indian states could benefit from energy infrastructure upgrades due to rising AI electricity demand? And how does this correlate with existing grid capacity and renewable potential? And how will the expansion of these data centers and the statewide policies impact electricity demand, costs, and carbon emissions in India? And can we use spatial clustering of AI development zones to be linked to changes in local electricity consumption? So for my methodology, currently, I first plotted total electricity capacity by state using the 2024 data. And we can see India's total electricity capacity is 462 gigawatts. And then I merged the electricity data with the state boundary of the GeoJSON file. And I want to understand what's the top 5 states that has the largest electricity capacity, which is Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. And then I try to understand, so for each state, what is like the average, what's the medium, and what's the minimum and maximum, and how do we compare the electricity capacity across states? And then the second thing I did was to plot the total electricity generation by state. So we can actually see the electricity generation has a different spatial distribution compared to the capacity that each state has. So I was wondering how much capacity is left for future electricity demand from AI and data centers. And where do we need to take like measures related to infrastructural upgrades? And third, I try to plot the renewable electricity generation by state. So I want to break down the sources of the energy from each state. And so here we can see like how much electricity comes from renewable sources, and the northwest side, the state here like has the largest potential here. And lastly, I plotted the total power sector carbon emission by state, and I want to compare which state produces the most carbon emission related to electricity generation. And then the next step is I need to get the data on all the data centers. So I web scraped the information of 260 data centers in India. And this includes the location, power capacity, network providers, etc. So I try to like get also the data for like the statistics for each data center. And we can now see like the fully built out power capacity of all the data centers that I gathered data from. And so just quickly go through the mapping of, so this is the data center power capacity mapped onto the district level. And I want to identify the high energy demand zones. So I merged the data center info with the pin code and the district of India's different district zones. And currently I'm trying to think about like how to simulate scenarios and forecast like the future energy load. And so in conclusion, I currently found like a data center policy produced by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and they laid out 5 different technological policies that could enable data center expansion and also increase the financial growth while understanding how sustainability play a part in this. So this is my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Han. So it's nice presentation, and it's already the research questions are well specified, and I guess you earlier submitted a research proposal which is not exactly this one. You presented a proposal which was based on some New York City or something like that. Am I right? Am I recollecting it
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So,
But I wanted to do something related to India.
India. Okay.
Like
Oh, no, that's
use
great.
this, yeah, as an opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. Now it's also it's totally unknown to me, like that you have these data information on the electricity demand from AI and data centers. So it's really nice. I'm a little bit curious to know like how you are actually planning to estimate the electricity demand from this AI and data center. Do you have any specific methodology that you are going to follow, or rather you are trying to think that, okay, this is basically the methodology that I'm going to adopt for estimating the electricity demand? Because as you know, you are actually in the first part of your presentation, you mentioned about the current state of electricity generation in 5 major Indian states. And then you are going to estimate, because at the end of the day, you're basically trying to relate this AI and data center, the electricity demand from this AI and data center, and how far the current state of electricity production, they need to be changed, they need to be augmented in order to cater to the increased electricity demand which are emanating from this AI and data center. That's what you are trying to do. So if that is
Yes.
the case, then you have to precisely forecast this electricity demand. So have you thought of any specific model?
Yeah, that's actually a question that I wanted to discuss with you, because I was watching your video on time series. But like honestly, I'm just like not an expert in like these forecasting models. So my question right now is, I have the data for 2024.
Okay,
And
so
yeah.
it's basically one point of time data, na?
Yeah, but for the energy data, I can also get 2019 to 2024. I have 2019 to 2024.
So is it only 5 years data? That's
Yes,
what you are
only
saying.
5 years.
So 5
Yes.
years data for say 5 major Indian states.
It's for all states. Like
All
I
states.
plotted
Okay.
here.
So
Like,
so
yeah.
I think you please then search for this electricity demand data for at least 25 years. So that would be better for you to make a more reliable forecast, because you know when you are considering forecasting, because the entire forecasting is based on what we have data for the last say 30 years, 20 years, 30 years, 35 years. So larger will be your data set, better will be the reliability of the forecasting method. So I suggest you to a little bit just search a little bit more if you can get the electricity consumption data for the major Indian states for at least post 2000. Okay, so that will be better for you to make a reliable forecast, because otherwise it will be very difficult for you. Or else what you can do, you can also go for certain kind of normal forecasting. Normal forecasting means it's not truly in the time series data, but you can use the cross-sectional data and just try to run a regression like kind of thing. And you are talking about some simulation, I think. That's what you are talking about, so simulation modeling or something like that. Now,
Yeah.
so that simulation model, I think you need to explore a little bit more, because I'm not sure, because I'm not very much conversant with this kind of data availability. But if the data for last 20 or 25 years, 30 years for electricity demand is not available, then I think based on the data which you already have, you can think of certain kind of simulation model instead of going to the forecasting model to make an estimation of the likely electricity demand which can be generated or which can be linked directly to the AI and data centers. So that you can go for. So simulation here will be the key to your approach, given the paucity of data. So that's what my suggestion is. And apart from that, your first part of your presentation, that where you discussed about your the trend and pattern of the electricity production generation of the 5 major Indian states and their policies. Okay, they are all fine. And maybe you can, as part of your descriptive part of your research, you may again can deep dive a little bit more into the state policies which the specific states which they are thinking, and especially the states which are developed, they must have some policies to cater to these demand which are coming from this AI and data centers, so that you can make a kind of a solid review, so that this can inform your policy making. Because I'm pretty sure that in case of India, not much research has been done on this particular aspect. So if you can document at least what the major state governments, especially the state governments where bulk of economic activities, especially related to AI and data centers, are occurring, so how they are trying to think about these specific issue. So that would be also a very interesting contribution to the existing body of research. That you mentioned about the IMF working paper. So you can think of similarly replicating that particular thing in the context of Indian state as well. So
Yeah.
you can do this, and then my suggestion for you to go for to look for certain simulation procedure, which will be much more useful for you to correctly estimate this electricity demand, rather than going for typical or conventional forecasting method that we discussed.
So is it like maybe we create a formula or something, like we create, it's not looking back at historical data, right? Because this is like a new.
Yes, so historical data, it's a little bit difficult. Like if the data is available, then definitely you can go for that historical kind of data and typical forecasting method. But if it is not, then you have to go for some kind of simulation kind of exercises. That's what my suggestion is.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Okay. And in case you have any further queries, please feel free to directly email me. I'll be happy to answer your queries.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Nandini ji. Nandini ji, are you there in the meeting?
She's not here yet, Sana. We can move to the next one.
Ranveer Sharma ji. So we don't have, I think, Sonali ji.
We can go to Ilakya.
Yeah, Ilakya Satish ji.
Yeah, hello. Hello, am I audible and visible?
Audible, but
You
not
are audible, yeah.
Audible, not visible.
no.
Not visible, yeah.
Visible now?
Yes,
Okay.
we can
Screen is
see
visible.
your PPT. Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever I think of policy and data, maybe it's the economic student in me, but I always think of monetary and fiscal policy. So since after 5 years, the repo rate has been cut down from 6.5 to 6.25% in February 2025. And then again in April 2025, cutting it from 6.25 to 6%. It shows a neutral to accommodative stance in RBI's objective of achieving growth. So I wanted to see whether the repo rate changes affect the change in personal loans, effectively aiming to see the change in household lending. So my aim is to do a time series econometrics regression analysis on change in personal loan and change in repo rate. Because personal loans are very quick to disburse. They may not require collateral. They're used for diverse uses, from repaying debts to funding education. And they're usually based on the consumer's credit history, which helps in offering competitive interest rates. As India is the most populated country with a growing young middle-class population, the demand for personal loans has also increased yearly. So I wanted to see the effect of if there is a causal relationship or a correlationship between the changes in repo rate. As you can see in the first figure, it has changed drastically since the past 25 years, which has led to a change in the lending interest rate also, and whether this transmission mechanism trickles down to the household lending rate. So usually when we talk about repo rate, we talk about investment and we talk about production and we talk about growth, and household lending is sort of shifted to the backside. Yeah, I talked about this. So so household lending also depends upon the credit history of consumers. So I wanted to see if there is a significant relationship again with either the credit history or the impact of economic conditions. Now, I've reviewed the literature, but there is not a direct correlation, there is not a direct relationship in any of the papers that between repo rate and household lending. Instead, they go through 3 channels, which is either inflation with GDP or interest rate lending. Inflation, if the repo rate changes by 16 BPS in one of the papers, it will only lead to a change in 1.3% in inflation. So the degree of effectiveness of monetary policy has been restricted by structural changes, such as poor performance in agriculture, dependence on energy, and high NPAs. So also the researchers infer that repo rate change does have less than moderate effect on WPI and CPI, inferring that as a policy rate, repo rate did not significantly affect CPI and WPI. And therefore, I have doubts that should I include the inflation rate as a independent variable, should I include GDP as an independent variable or the lending interest rate as an independent variable? And I've also run into a problem that I have many dependent variables instead of one. So the best possible way for me is to either do an independent time series regression analysis on all these dependent variables or do a SUR analysis. So,
Okay. So what I understand or what I'm understanding from your presentation is that you are basically trying to examine the relationship between changes in repo rate and changes in personal lending. Okay.
yes.
And now the way you are specifying your dependent variable, you know, apart from personal loans, the other component, the other variables which you have listed here, they are basically the components of personal loans, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so so definitely you can go for each of them. Like you can have a look at these dependent variables individually. Okay, for example, it may happen that the relationship which is holding for personal loan with the repo rate, that may not be true for housing loan or for the credit card outstanding or something like that. Okay, so that you can always, because that will give you some extra insights, like how the different components of personal loans, they are actually moving with the changes in the repo rate or not. But I'm not, but I'm not that much convinced like they will be changing or rather they will be exhibiting some kind of very different results. Because have you? My question is: Have you gone through any literature which is looking at this kind of relationship? You
Yes, sir, I have gone
because you
through a few
mentioned about,
papers.
yes, you mentioned about 3 channels. Okay, so that's what you mentioned. Okay, so if your overarching objective is to examine the interrelationship between change in repo rate and change in personal lending, then you can just first think of specifying a model which may be in the VAR framework, the vector autoregressive model, because you are actually considering the relationship between more than 2 variables. You are considering 3 or 4 variables, and maybe all the variables, they are actually influencing the variables in a simultaneous fashion. Okay, so in that context, a simple time series regression analysis may not be that much useful for you. So you can go for bar framework. And apart from that, what are the different the papers which you have already studied? So you can
Yes,
also
those.
yes, please.
So the papers would not directly talk about repo rate and household lending. They will go through the three channels. They'll either say, oh, the increase repo rate changes the GDP, the repo rate changes the inflation, or the repo rate changes the interest rate.
So what kind of
so
economic
investment changes, and then
that is the standard
consumption changes. So there is not
macroeconomic.
Yeah,
That's the
standard macroeconomics. There is
yes.
just one.
Yes, that is the standard macroeconomic impact. Okay, that is
And I
how
only
generally
got one paper on in which there is a relationship between repo rate and household lending rate.
So what was the econometric model that this paper utilized?
I think they did variance analysis regression only.
Okay, so my suggestion would be to you just take a you just collect the data and then try to understand or find out this relationship in a VAR framework. That will be better for you to understand the relationship between all those variables, because they are actually, the relationship is not direct as the literature is saying. That's basically the literature. And also, if you our basic macroeconomic understanding would also say the same thing. So if that is the case, then instead of doing the traditional co-integration analysis, you can go for some kind of VAR framework, vector of regressive framework, where you can understand the simultaneity between the different time series variables which you are considering or which you are expecting to have some impact on the report. Okay, so that would be better for you to go from.
So may I ask if there is some macroeconomic model that captures this transmission mechanism? Because I've studied literature and I've not gotten any. It's
That
just
I have to
intuitive.
that I have also, but I can tell you about the econometric models, but the specific macroeconomic model right now, I'm not in a position to tell you specifically. Okay, but again, you have to search the literature. But as far as the modeling approach is concerned, the econometric modeling approach is concerned, you can go for VAR, vector of regressive analysis.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you, sir. Next, we have Anila ji.
Yes, Sana.
Kindly go ahead with the presentation.
Yeah. Is the presentation visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
My research is titled Welfare Populism and Electoral Shifts in Telangana, a study of budgetary priorities and political outcomes. So I explored whether major welfare schemes like Raitu Bandhu and Dalita Bandhu actually translated into electoral advantages for Bharat Rashtra Samiti, that is a political party in Telangana state. So whether voter preferences were influenced by other governance concerns. So I'm going to research, do test on this. So mainly BRS, or earlier called as Telangana Rashtra Samiti, it has won elections back to back in 2014 and 18, and people had confidence in them because it is one of the reason Telangana has got independent. Like it has got separated from Andhra Pradesh. So people were sentimental to this BRS party. But in the year 2023, it has lost significant number of votes, and it shows the income, like it shows the problem where BRS is failing. So, and BRS was BRS parties that is welfare schemes were mainly appreciated by Niti Aayog because it has talked about Raitu Bandhu, where it advantages welfare schemes for farmers, and KCR kit for women. So BRS, which held Telangana state for over a decade, it lost its elections due to mainly reasons such as electoral failure. So my core objectives was to study whether welfare delivery influenced voting outcomes analytically. I used statistical tools to test relationships between budget trends, beneficiary counts, and voter behavior using t-test, chi-square test, and regression models. And I used data from Telangana budget documents, socio-economic outlook of Telangana, election commission results, and Lokniti CSDS pre-poll surveys covering years 2018 to 2023. First, I ran a paid t-test comparing the number of scheme beneficiaries between 2018 and 23 across 7 flagship schemes. So the result you can see here is not statistically significant. So the interpretation which we can get from this is welfare coverage remained stable, but that stability did not ensure continued political support. So we have other causes as well which led to the failure of BRS in Telangana, such as employment, governance, and corruption. So, we can say that welfare alone could not guarantee electoral loyalty. And that second test which I have conducted is uh, regression, simple linear regression, where budget versus vote share. So, I ran a simple linear regression to see if agriculture budget impacted BRS vote share. The interpretation which we get from here is higher spending didn't help vote share, possibly due to welfare fatigue or misplaced priorities. So R square, like 97%. 1 minute, sir. So you can't see my presentation. Give me a second. So 97% of the variation, it is from agriculture budget. Like, so even if they have spent more on welfare schemes and agriculture budget, did not translate into political returns. So the next test is chi-square test, which we have run here. So this is based on pre-poll survey of CSDS Lokniti. There were few priorities which the respondents of Telangana, they have told that, see, for example, employment here, they were not satisfied with employment in 2018 and 2023, that increased unemployment. Except for clean drinking water and better transportation, every other priority here has the people in Telangana were dissatisfied with this. So we can see when I have run this test, we can see that it is statistically significant because water concerns evolved significantly from 2018 to 23, and it overtook welfare as key concern. So, and the next test is whether the party preference shift. So we have asked, that is, Lokniti has asked people, respondents, whether they are going to vote in 2023 to the same party. So many people, as you can see, BRS, they have the graph has drastically changed because they changed their opinion not to vote, and the Congress has a sharp rise in Congress and BJP, but BRS saw a clear erosion in the respondents' voting. So here voter behavior also plays a key role in failure of BRS in 2023. And the next chi-square test is run on satisfaction with TRS government. So with the respondents have to select whether they are fully satisfied or somewhat satisfied or dissatisfied. So mainly there are people in 2018 to 2023, we can see public satisfaction has decreased and dissatisfaction has increased from 2018 to 2023. This might be due to electoral welfare fatigue or unmet expectations, something like we have seen earlier, like unemployment, corruption, and anti-incumbency, which were in Telangana. And I've also run this test on CM preference. So there are Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar Rao, KCR and his son KTR, they have an advantage since 2000s because they were so active in Telangana agitation, Telangana separate state agitation. Till 2018, they were able to gain much popularity in Telangana, but after 2018, like 2018, after the elections, KCR support has significantly decreased, and Revant Reddy, who is from Congress government, like Congress party, the people's choice has increased. So we can say that his KCR's charismatic advantage has weakened, and Revant Reddy gained momentum. So this chi-square test we can see is highly statistically significant, which also uh, led a part in failure of DRS. So they have also asked whether TRS deserves another chance, and you can see significant people voted no. And the party loyalty, 3097 respondents were asked whether they are still loyal to the BRS government. Yeah, BRS party, yeah, people are loyal, but you can see significant increase in respondents' votes for Congress in 2023. It has increased drastically. So people are not they are not satisfied with the government due to many issues other than welfare schemes only. So this is the party electoral success graph. You can see like the number of lost seats for TRS is so much compared to Congress in just 2018 to 2023. And so the key insights I would like to say here is welfare does not actually always translate into positive electoral outcomes. There are many things such as uh, priorities such as employment, development, corruption, and governance fatigue. So these are also the things that the parties have to keep in mind before going to the elections. So this quotation I have read somewhere, that is, when welfare becomes expected, not exceptional, votes are no longer guaranteed. So when welfare policies become expected as a right rather than seen as a special benefits, they lose their ability to influence voting decisions. Voters start focusing on other factors like governance and leadership instead of rewarding parties solely for welfare programs. Uh, and why am I conducting this research? So these are the implications that parties should keep in mind whether before going into the elections. So in summary, this is all I want to say. That is, populism and charisma will not actually work for parties. They need to understand what grassroots in the grassroots what actual people need. Then they want jobs. They demand for jobs. They want accountability and transparency. That is what people need. So once these parties think from grassroots level, they can actually win the elections. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anila. So you are actually raising many politically unpleasant issues. You know the conclusion which you have drawn from your analysis. The political leaders will not like it.
Yes, yes. But it is actually the truth at the grassroots level. They have to think about these as well.
Yes, I understand. So these are really interesting. And as far as the chi-square tests which you have performed, so these, do you have any access to the CSDS data, I guess? Or
Yes,
is it
sir.
okay. So
it is available publicly.
Available publicly. Okay. So that's very interesting. And the chi-square test is also nice. Just I have one. I have a concern with the regression because you have just run a regression of vote share on budget spent on agricultural practices. That's what you have run. So this is a little bit problematic, because like this kind of single variable regression may not be having that much of useful policy insight. So you need to think of like what are the different other factors which can control, which can be used as the control variable. So otherwise, So that is the only suggestion that you right now I can, because the other things, the chi-square test and all these things, they are properly done. But as far as the regression result is concerned, that regression result is a little bit problematic in the sense because you are only considering two variable framework. Okay, because you know the percentage of vote share which a political party is expected to get in a particular election, that is not only dependent on budget, because there are many other factors. There may be regional variation. There may be variation with respect to certain other macroeconomic, socio-political, economic factors. So that you need to take into account to make the model much more robust in nature, to make your conclusion much more strong in nature, much more appealing in nature. That's that you can think of, because that's one very crucial important thing. And another, this is one thing. And second thing is that when you are presenting this kind of regression analysis results or the results of chi-square, so please try to present this in a standard format. For example, in one of my presentation, I have discussed like how you can actually, you are supposed to, present your regression analysis results. Okay, so if you follow
Yes.
that, follow that thing, so it will be better for, because it will be easier for you to interpret. It will also visually it will look good. Okay, and any now, if you are going to send it to any standard journals, they will they generally require your regression results or the statistical results to be presented in some standardized format. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
so that is basically the second part, which is you can always work on. But for your regression analysis, you have to think of making it a little bit more interesting by considering some other explanatory variables into your regression analysis.
Yes, sir. So the years which I'm comparing only for 2018 and 2023, I have tried to take other factors into consideration as well, like agriculture, GSDP growth, and loans. So when I try the test, there are so many errors, and that is
No,
why I didn't
No.
consider.
So that is chi-square test. I'm not talking about.
Regression, sir.
Regression,
Regression
yes.
analysis. Yeah.
For example, you are talking about transparency. For one of your example, one of your significant conclusion is that if the government is accountable, now the voters, they demand accountability from the government, they demand transparency from the government. Okay, so if that is the
Yes.
case, and then definitely you should think of certain indicators which can capture that accountability part, which can capture that transparency part, because that is going to have some impact on the percentage of vote share that one particular political party is getting in a particular election. No? So when you are actually proposing this, like whatever conclusion that you are making, so that should be based on your findings. So that should not, because now I understand what you want to say, at least from your chi-square analysis and all these things. But your regression analysis should also reflect strongly, like, okay, this accountability does matter, this transparency does matter. So that you need to think of, because the literature is huge. You must be able to find out certain relevant literature. So you please go through the literature. You just try to locate some of the important variables, and then just reframe your regression analysis, just to make your entire analysis much more interesting in nature.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sir, is it okay if we
Yes.
publish it anywhere? Like this is related to political thing. Is it okay if we publish?
Yes, no issue. You can
Okay.
always go ahead. No, it is politically unpleasant. Okay, the political leaders, they will not like it, but we academicians, we will like. We will be interested to hear a lot about all these kinds of things, because we want to know all these kinds of things. Absolutely, there will be no problem if you are go ahead with the publication of your paper. That will not
Okay,
be a
sir.
problem. Sure. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you, sir. I don't think so. We have more presentations as people.
Yeah, just a minute. So maybe we have some more dates. Like if anybody who are not presenting here, if they want to share their presentation, so please feel free to email to me, and I'll read your presentation and I'll share my feedback on the same. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your comprehensive and encouraging feedback on the presentations. And a special thanks to all the fellows for sharing their excellent work. It is truly learning experience. With this, we come to the end of the presentation section, and we thank Mr. Rakesh Pandey and Dr. Samadhi Chattopadhyay for the insightful talk. with us, and thank you so much, sir. So this brings us to the end of day 12 of this comprehensive program, and I would like to move ahead with the formal vote of thanks. As we come to the end of day 12 of Data Analytics for Policy Research Fellowship, Cohort 2.0, and Online National Spring School Program, a 4-month immersive online hands-on certificate training fellowship program, I, Sana Ansari, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, would like to propose a formal vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI Generation Alpha Data Center, New Delhi. We are grateful for our chair and expert for the 12th section, Mr. Rakesh Pandey and Dr. Samadhi Chattopadhyay, for taking out their valuable time and providing thought-provoking insights on the topic. We thank all our participants who have raised important questions, presented their work, and actively participated in today's celebration. Reading for this session has been shared in your email, and a video for this session will also be shared for your future learning. As today marks the last day of this program, we are deeply grateful for all our experts who have shared their valuable insight with us. Participants are kindly requested to note that feedback forms will be shared with you all via email, and participation certificate will be issued after feedback forms are submitted. To kindly take note of this. Lastly, a gentle reminder that deadline for essay draft submission is on 10th May, which is Saturday. We are grateful if you're watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on various podcasts or reading our publication. We hope you continue to join in the future IMPRI Web Policy Talk and Web Policy Learning. Wishing you a very good afternoon, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.